Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Being Healthy live stream. We've got a lot going on today, and I know that for a lot of people, they have no clue and idea why we call this being healthy. Why not? How to get healthy? What is healthy? Because being healthy is a process. We never achieve health because health is very much dependent on our circumstances at the moment, with who we are, where we are, and we are human beings, so we're fluctuating a lot. And we also going in and out of incredible health with less because it depends. It depends on the season, depends on the weather, it depends on if there has been an earthquake, a hurricane, if there has been a volcano exploding. It depends on so many sources. So our health has to do with all our five senses, and the five senses are affected tremendously by so much. So we never arrive really at perfect health. So there's no such thing as perfection on earth. We did not come here to be perfect. So having said that, what does being healthy mean to our hosts or co-hosts? So Lisa, starting with you.
Well, what a great way to start this podcast by talking about the importance of health and that there's no such thing as perfection, because that's, I think, where I am. I was reflecting on this today I was following the fruitarian, the vegan lifestyle. And I made some shifts over the holidays, and I really noticed how that impacted my well-being. I think because my immune system is stronger, my sensitivity is wired stronger. And I realized this lifelong pursuit I've had of, being aesthetically, I've worked in the modeling industry, so it was a constant weight appearance thing. And now that I'm healthy, I realize what a game it is, because when you're healthy, you're naturally in a good place. And this kind of, all in cycling is just a symptom of something greater, that your body really needs consistency. It needs love. It needs nurturing with the right diet. And so the parameters of what healthy means has really, really shifted for me in 2026.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Pete, what about you? What for you does it mean, the actual two words being healthy?
Or to me, it's a holistic approach, really. So 2 words: being healthy. Three words: mind, body, and spirit, really. And to me, they're all connected. As I journeyed, it's been really interesting with the food, and realize, oh wow, the mind slows down, and the clearing in the body, the clearing in the mind, less confusion, less imbalance, less ups and downs. So then, I could be eating good food, but then I might get caught out in a, say, trigger or a certain emotion. So that's a kind of feeding going on there, or a pattern, or a repetitive, quite endemic kind of installation that we have. So it means for me I talk about a field, our energy field. Once you clean your more senses, or it just happens if you're doing more kind of cleansing work. But it doesn't have to be work. It just becomes a way of life, and embrace it, really. It's just, once again, the war on our minds, the war on our thoughts, and how we think and how we perceive things. So I found that I really needed to shift that. And, only over the last 2 years, it's really tangibly kind of embedded in my body more. And even though I came across these words when I was 17, and it's like they didn't really make sense till I really slowed down 18 years ago and dropped in to really digest different types of esoteric kind of approaches I had. So mind, body, and spirit, and they're just 3 words I use, but can we sense is our inner feeling, inner field in turmoil? Is it constantly, like a car, full foot down, full on your throttle? I would never have known if I hadn't approached certain protocols and had a very wake-up call. So I like to talk about our field. How's our field? Because if we are not being accountable for us being calm and our field, inner field, not pretentiously and holding it together and I'm fine, but really, everything around you is going AWOL, or your children's bouncing off the walls because we aren't really being accountable for our energy field, which brings us back to, resolving and in letting go a lot of trauma, pain. So I'm big on that, really, recognizing, coming back to, the inner calm child that are more closer to source. We enter, you could say, untempered, and the idea is if we want to go back to heaven, but we can do it here, to become back like the child, loving, compassionate, not contaminated with too many installed, imprinted thoughts. So that's a task in itself. So food has been a big, let's just say, amazing tool for that, really. And like Lisa said, so it's a great topic. It's interesting. I heard about perfection when I was 17. I'm like, what do you mean that everything's perfect? So and then revisited it when I was 30, then revisited it when I was 40. And I never would like to say I know I got it now, but I have an awareness, because even though nothing is really perfect, but at the same time, we all say that everything is perfect too. So it's the middle ground. So, and what does that mean? We can have a whole discourse on both. And so I have an awareness that we are uniquely in our perfection where we are now.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And we're going to actually be speaking more about this. We do have a special guest today, and we're going to be bringing him on after we have discussed this topic of being healthy, what it means for us, each of us personally. So I'm going to bring in Phil Grist for this. What does it mean when we say the words being healthy? What does it mean for you personally, Phil?
Yeah, being healthy. I think my definition of being healthy has changed over the years of my health journey. I think when I first thought about being healthy, it was just my physical body that for me, that was what health was all about. And actually now, the mind, body, spirit, to repeat that again. What does that mean to me? My emotional well-being over the time has become really important to me because of the benefits that the lifestyle and look after my physical body has given my mental body and my mental body and my mental clarity. And that's been a big one that I wasn't searching for. I was searching for physical health, but I would say my biggest shift I've had in being healthy is in my mental, my emotional, being stable, not being so reactive, being more actional, being more responsive, recognizing when I've been wrong and saying, I'm sorry, I've overstepped the mark. And that to me is being healthy, being able to apologize and say, hey, look, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have taken action. I shouldn't have judged you in that way. So that to me is actually really important. And the other thing that I reached actually from dry fasting was peacefulness, this depth of peacefulness that really hardly anyone talks of, that real depth of peacefulness, no matter where we are, we can hit that piece. And for me now, being healthy is about being peaceful.
Thank you, Phil. So that brings us then to Herb, who right now is probably having some wonderful lessons about what being healthy means.
I've had a fair few lessons in life about that. My definition being healthy is to be vibrant, to be comfortable in your own skin, enjoying your life, treating yourself well, treating others well, having compassion. That's what being healthy is. No matter what we do, we can do things healthy, but it doesn't mean we are being healthy. Like this title of this wonderful show is such a beautiful description, being healthy. We can do many things to be healthy, but miss it all together. Lots of things play a role in that. Diet is obviously one of them. I used to be a bit of a perfectionist as well, chasing perfection. Though I was doing all the right things, I was missing other things in my life. It's just like caught on one thing and missing the bigger picture. And it's embracing imperfection, which is true perfection.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. So, because today we are really focusing on being healthy and what does that mean, we actually have a special guest who found out for himself through the physical body what being healthy means. For me personally, I think being healthy has everything to do with simply being okay in a human body, however that shows up for us. To me, that's the epitome of health. So if it means you've had a car accident, if you fell down, if you actually are very sick and you end up in the hospital, if you can accept and really appreciate having a human body to have that experience, to me, that is being healthy. We don't have to achieve anything, nor do we have to actually strive for anything except to accept the unacceptable. That's what my life is about, is accepting the unacceptable without letting it rule me. That's really important to me. So please, I'm going to bring on our guest here, Coach John. Can you please, John?
See you shortly, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
John, you are on.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry, guys. I had some technical difficulties there.
No need to be sorry. It's okay. Just go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, please. There's no reason to apologize whatsoever.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm Coach John, and I've been a lifetime fitness enthusiast and a health coach for 35 years. My story starts when I was 13 years old. I'm 53 now, so we're talking about
Okay, so his our guest, our special guest today, his video just froze. So we will come back to him in a moment. I'm going to bring on Sabina, who has been away. And Sabina, welcome back. How are you? You've been through quite a lot. You've got some really life-altering things to share today, if you're up to sharing them.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm so happy to be back and see all of your beautiful faces. And I had quite a journey, and I would call it was a closing chapter. My dad passed away on Thanksgiving, and something I actually felt. I felt it the night before. I couldn't sleep. I woke in the middle of the night and I felt very restless, and I felt something. I felt some energy from his side. And then in the morning, I turned my phone on and there was a message from my sister. So I knew that he actually is either passed or is in critical condition. But anyway, my sister told me that it looks like it's coming to an end. I should call her as soon as possible. So I immediately went on a video call with her, and I woke up my son also. And we were 5 hours on the call with my sister and my dad. And she put the iPad really close to him so he could see us in big. And he was obviously very scared. So I started speaking to him and telling him, it's okay. It's okay. You are on the way to freedom and you can actually let go. And he was scared. He was crying and making all kinds of sounds. There's a lot of fear in his eyes. And my sister kept panicking. Oh my God, what are we going to do? And I just kept talking to him, very peaceful and calm. And my son, the same. We just kept telling him, we're here with him. He's not alone. And it's okay to let go. There's nothing to be afraid of. Freedom is waiting. So we talked to him for 5 hours. And at some point, he closed his eyes, fell asleep. And then in that night, he passed. And I knew that he's going to leave in that night. So the last thing he actually saw was me and my son on the iPad, loving, sending love and holding him in so much warmth and understanding and peace. No panic. My sister panicked a few times. She went in tears and yeah, I mean, that's really the difference between doing spiritual work and not. She has never done really spiritual work. So she was really in a panic mode and crying and almost losing it. And I did what I could just to calm her down. And eventually at some point she calmed as well. And she said the same thing. I'm here with you, Daddy. We're all here. Your whole family's with you. It's okay. It's all good. And she calmed down as well. So it was beautiful to witness. And then after he passed, then I went to Germany, which was quite another closing chapter. I went back to the house that I grew up with. I went to all the places I played as a child. I took my son to all the places. And there was a lot of tears and emotions coming up. It was actually because I knew this is the last time probably I'm going to be in that place because there's nothing really there for me anymore. And then seeing the house I grew up with, it actually got sold and had lots of apple trees and pear trees and berries and also a plum tree. And I remember as a child, I would climb these trees and eat those fruits. And the new owner, they took down all the trees, which was very sad because you can feed an entire family with all the trees that were in their garden. So they took down everything. And they put down like a big giant garage that hosts 4 cars, really ugly piece. So that was disheartening to see, that, yeah, people they don't understand what they actually took away from them. Because if there ever will be a food shortage, there will be enough food this is like a family with kids that could feed the entire family with what's in the garden. But they decided to take it all down. And then the funeral was also very emotional because I truly had no idea actually who my father truly was. And there was actually a pastor doing a speech about his upbringing in Nazi Germany and that his dad left for war. He was actually growing up without a dad and what impact it had on him. And then several people actually speaking on him. He was an architect. He was actually well known in the town I grew up in. And he restored many of the old buildings from the 14th, 15th century. And he actually won prizes for that, which he actually never shared with me. He wrote 2 books, and I had only knew about 1 book. So there was a lot of things I found out that my dad was, which was actually very surprising and very beautiful. And then people came up to me, people I never met or haven't seen in many, many years. They were crying on my shoulders at how much my dad meant to them. What a good friend he was, how amazing he was as an architect, what a difference he made for our town. And also he was part of a horse riding club. He was riding horses. And also when he was retired, he was driving a horse and buggy. And he was part of a club that would go on these tours with the horse and buggy. And all these men that came in a black coat and a cylinder, and they actually did a speech and they performed songs for him. It was quite moving, I tell you. I was like in tears, and many of them came up to me and they're crying about how much my dad meant to him. And for me to hear that was because he was not really the best dad. He was quite very authoritative, I think is the word, authoritarian. He always told me what to do. He never asked me what I wanted. Very dominant, very tyrannical. He was often locked in my rooms and sometimes even beaten. So he was not really the nicest dad. But then hearing from all these people how much my dad meant to him, what a difference he made for them, what a great friend he was, how amazing he was with horses, how much he cared about these old buildings that they needed to be restored instead of taken down. So that was really moving to me and so touching that it took me quite a few days to really digest that. And I had severe digestion problems. I couldn't go to the bathroom for several days because I think there was so much I had to process. And then after a week, with my son, we rented a car and we drove down to Italy, to Lago di Como, Lake Como. And we rented a beautiful place on top of a cliff with an amazing view over the lake, and just, enjoying that view and then processing all that I went through. And it was beautiful and touching. It was painful and so much came up. But since I'm back, I actually felt something heavy from my shoulders. And I feel a sense of freedom, and I feel so much love for my dad. Even he did many abusive things to me, my mother, and my sister. But all I feel is such a deep love and appreciation, and so happy that he touched so many people's lives. So I want to keep it short because I could go on and on, but and then on the way back, I went to Switzerland, to Lucerne. I have a close friend who lives at Lake Lucerne. We spent some time there, which was also so beautiful. Such, deep heart-to-heart connection with friends. I know her for 23 years, and we're like sisters. And it was so beautiful just being with her and sharing many profound experiences. So I had a wonderful experience there. Also, my son, her husband took really good care of my son and her son. They took him to the gym and to the place of their grandparents and showed him around a little bit. So he also had a very moving experience there. And then we drove through the Alps, which was another highlight. It's such a beautiful drive going through the Swiss Alps, the Italian Alps, and the German Alps, and taking that beautiful road trip and taking in that magical, majestic scenery. So it was a very rich experience.
Oh, I like that you ended with a very rich experience, Sabina. Sabina, I find it interesting. We're talking about being healthy and what it means to each of us today. I find it interesting that the same ailment you had as a child all the time when you were in Germany, which is you couldn't go to the toilet, remember? Now you're back home and with your father again, and you're having the same problems, not because of what you're eating this time, because your eating is very different. But it shows that has to do with what goes on in the family, and it has to do with the emotional and the mental challenges that we have, that changing our diet doesn't always really do anything sometimes, or it only does it for a short while of time, because there you go, went back to having the same bodily response. Would you say that is true?
Oh, absolutely, 1000%. Because I noticed once I got to Italy and was able to relax, even though I ate very clean in Germany. I had lots of fruits, I had my salads, I had a little piece of bread here and there, but overall it was 90% very clean. But still, 3 days, almost no bowel movement. And then the moment I got to Italy, I was able to relax and just really digest all that happened. All of a sudden, it flowed very easily. So absolutely, it's more than anything emotionally.
Absolutely. Food in itself cannot do anything for us. I'm going to repeat it again because I do this in my workshops all the time and people think I'm nuts. Food cannot do anything for us that we are not willing to do for ourselves. Thank you, Sabina. I really am glad to have you back. And with that, I'm going to bring in John again and see our special guest for today and see if John DePass is now staying on. Looks like his internet is now working. Welcome, John. Come on in. And you need to unmute yourself because I muted you because there was a lot of noise when you first came on, so I muted you. Sorry about that.
There, can you hear me now?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, good. Yes, I'm Coach John, and I've spent my whole life in fitness and wellness. And I started fitness and wellness when I was 13, which was 40 years ago. And I started fitness and wellness because I was a little guy and I got picked on at school. And I got beaten up by a bigger guy and embarrassed in front of the girls. So it was a big emotional thing that happened. And I made a decision at that time that I was going to work out and I wasn't going to have this happen to me again. And that's why I started exercising, and it really became a little bit of a lifetime obsession. I started at 13, and by the time I was 19 years old, I was the provincial champion. I was the junior provincial champion in Ontario, Canada. And by the time I was 23, I was representing the country at the Mr. Universe competition. And I was in the won Mr. North America in 1997. I had so much success with bodybuilding. And but I did have a really big emotional tragedy that happened when I was 19 years old. My mother died of cancer, and she was only 42. And then my father, who wasn't super supportive of my bodybuilding, made me move out. And I had basically lost my family. And I was an independent man going to university and working at the gym, and a very big man, 50 pounds larger than I am now. And I was working in the gym. I was very busy. I was training like crazy. I was obsessed with fitness. And I kind of left working at the gym and opened up my own gym. My very first gym that I opened was unsuccessful. I had to close down and start again. And so I started again in a small place, and I built a bigger place, and I got a bigger place, and I got a bigger place, and I got 10 trainers working for me. And it was very busy. I was working out like crazy. I was seeing customers like crazy. I've been helping people with weight loss and pain relief and fitness and getting back into shape for a lifetime. And when I hit 40, I kind of grew this gym to be very, very big. But it was the expense of it. I got overwhelmed. I was working from very early in the morning, 5:30 in the morning with customers, right until 9 o'clock at night with customers. I overdid myself. And again, had to close my gym. And this was just such an emotional tragedy that it really triggered me. And I was not able to recover from this. So I went to the doctor. I was taking sleeping medication. I couldn't sleep. I had insomnia. I had sleep medication. I was medicating myself with ibuprofen daily. I was taking prescription anti-inflammatories for an acidic stomach. I was taking steroids. I was addicted to steroids. I was obsessed with the gym. I was pushing myself in the gym physically and at work, trying to cover the costs of the gym. And then the gym closed. And emotionally, I was distraught. And I was married and I had 3 kids, and I felt like a fail. It was just a big emotional letdown, and I just could not recover from it emotionally. And I was going to the physio, and I was going to the chiro, and I was going to massage, and I trying the prescription medications, but I couldn't get rid of this pain that was coming in my body. I was having pain in my head and my neck and my shoulders and my back. There was a lot of pain in my body. I was gaining weight. I was 50 pounds bigger and heavier than I am now at 40. This is 13 years ago. And I started to pursue an alternative. I started to look for some alternatives. I went and saw Brian Clement. He spoke in my city, and he introduced to this idea of like raw food, a vegetable focused diet. I was eating protein like crazy since I was 13 years old. I was eating a dozen eggs in the morning and a dozen eggs at night, and chicken breast and ground beef every single day, and protein powder. I just was stacking protein on top of protein for 25 years, and my health was failing, and I was an emotional mess, and it was breaking up my marriage and my relationship with my children. I saw things weren't working, and I listened to Brian Clement, and he started to talk about raw foods, and this is the first time that I heard like a non-protein approach to health. Like up until then, everything I'd learned and heard and taught and shared was a protein-focused approach to weight training and fitness and health. And so I heard it first from Dr. Brian Clement, and then I started to move in that direction, juicing and reducing my protein. And then I found a book by Arnold Ehret, The Mucusless Diet. And it was talking about a fruit-focused diet. So I went even further and found that my pain started to go away. Like my whole life, I'd eaten all this protein and trained myself so hard. And then all of a sudden, I started to reduce the protein and move to more fruits and vegetables. And my pain started to go away. My sleep problems went away. I got off of the medications. I got off all the medications. I got away from all of the physio and the chiro. I didn't need it anymore. I changed my training from like a super high intensity push on my body to a more gentle fitness and wellness approach. Rather than breaking myself, I just started to stimulate myself. When I read The Mucusless Diet, I got this idea that health in the human body, the energy in the human body, is really coming from oxygen. The body is an oxygen breathing machine. It's not really like a protein creation machine. Like up until that point, I thought of fitness and wellness and energy as something that came from protein and starch. And then I started to move to this potentially, hey, maybe health is something that's oxygen related, because the body's an oxygen breathing being. I started to eat oxygen rich food. I started to have hydrogen rich food. That's like food that was hydrating me, rehydrating my body. And the pain went away, and I got off all of the drugs and the steroids and the coffee and the stimulants. And my weight, I lost 40 pounds in the first 6 months. And that's just kind of gotten, I've sustained that now for now the last 10 years, that my weight is now like 150 pounds, and I don't have to use any stimulants. I don't drink coffee. I use green tea a little bit here and there, but I just was able to move into a completely natural direction by changing the way I was training, changing the way I was thinking, and changing the way that I was eating. So I really related to Sabina's story about emotion and what you said, Dorit, about emotions. I had some really big emotional things and setbacks in my life, and I saw how that affected my health. And I saw how changing the way I thought about food changed my needs for food. I believe so much of the way that we eat is just because of the way that we think about food. And unfortunately, the public doesn't receive that idea very readily. It's almost like the population has been taught and educated into a protein focused approach to everything. And hey, if that works for you, that's wonderful. But if you're over 45, your middle ages, and you're finding you're gaining weight, you're not able to lose the weight, you're not able to get over the pain, you're having sleep problems, you're having health problems of any kind, may I suggest that maybe you consider making some changes to your nutrition and actually potentially reducing your protein rather than doing this massive protein stacking that I see is just the real most popular trend in society.
Thank you very much, John. Yes, I think you are definitely a testament to the fact that all of this programming that's going on is what's ailing us. All of our ailments are due to programming. So in order to deprogram ourselves, we need shows like this. This is the reason for Being Healthy, this healthy show, and my book, Being Healthy, which hopefully will be out soon. And also, it's very important for people to realize and to be aware that we, all of us, every one of us in life, has their own path. Some people's path is to be ill. And that's fine, because that's their path in this lifetime. If that's the lessons your soul came here to experience, allow the person to experience it. I never force any of my clients to do anything they don't wish to do, except if you're going to work with me, you're going to have to relanguage yourself. That's the only thing. And if you don't wish to relanguage yourself, then you cannot work with me. So sometimes I don't have clients for a while because I will not at all give in to the deprogramming. It's very interesting. I want our host after listening to John. What were you programmed with and in, and how would you like to deprogram yourself, starting with Lisa?
Everything mirrors what has been going on for me. So this is what he shared about the protein. I was thinking about, where does that come from? Who benefits from that? I think that's really where you start to wake up and realize that there is an agenda behind our programming. So, of course, the meat industry definitely benefits from that programming. So my programming has been extensive. I mean, when you live in the United States, it's nonstop. And what I had a deep realization last night that, then this has been ongoing, but it really, really landed that you have to be beyond vigilant now, because we're assaulted. Our nervous systems are hijacked with the constant quote unquote chaos in the world. And the programming comes from people who benefit from this stuff, the meat industry, the dairy industry, and there really is no benefit from a consumer perspective, from an advertising perspective, for us to be healthy, because then we don't need these things. We don't need all this stuff that we consume because we're not healthy. And I'm talking about not just what we consume physically, but what we consume mentally. A lot of that comes from lack of clarity, brain fog, overwhelm, again, hijacked nervous systems, which makes us vulnerable, so that we can be spoon-fed and assaulted daily with things that we need that really don't benefit us. They keep us sick. So it's really important to wake up. I've really decided that I'm going to really work on slow living. I've always been a sprinter in my life. I've always like kind of gone from inactivity to excess activity. And I'm recognizing now that that's not great for my nervous system. And I really want to work on just being more slow and intentional in my life and savoring as opposed to rushing, consuming, and filling.
I salute you, Lisa. And how I am thrilled for you, because I know that you specifically have the capacity to do this and do it in the most, oh, a way that will really and truly not just benefit you, but every single person who comes into your energy field. Thank you for this. So, for that, I'm going to go then to Pete. Same question for you, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, what comes to mind is the story of Buddha and how his father, basically protected him in many ways in terms of the staff having to wear makeup so he didn't see age. So protected him from, let's just say, all the strong programs that we are in terms of especially age. So that was interesting. And, who was really the Buddha or his dad, in terms of who was very aware. And there was another story. There was an Albanian, I'm pretty sure he's from Albania, and he had some children and his partner. They were traveling around for a few years. And we was just around a campfire, and then, a few people, it just showed the kind of, let's just say, the advantages of more Westerners that we had and the time we had to explore, whether this person going on about psychedelics and this and all that, and the Albanian person's just clueless, And then, the upshot of it was interesting, we don't realize how fortunate we are, as well as with all the programs going on. And then, where the Albanian person, he's realized he's traveled quite a few countries with his family now. He had a different culture wife, shall I say. I won't go too into their identity. And he realized he wanted to go back to Albania. His story is like, as 10, 11, 12, they're trying to get out of Albania, under trucks. What friend has he lost today, by, trying to get out of the country. So he was on a passion, wanting to get back to this country to show people that actually it's a spell, the Western dream, and it's like, how can he get that across, that realizing most people want to get back to what they already had, the land, the slowness, the culture, even though this is a real, I think, an art, really. It's even with me traveling Morocco and different countries, the program so deep, you start seeing we're so far down the treadmill of being programmed that we believe we are okay. And we may, the average person, feel sorry for some other culture. However, that culture, I do see, has still been taken out in a certain way. But if you could get back to a connection, and then, each government, if they were for our benefit, could actually show, bring it into education, bring it into schools, bring it into our awareness. So the wise ones are still there, not really, compromised, and the children compromised. So we lose the more closest to, I'm going to say, the divine connection. So if we had that, we could, and more elders had that, to live that, embody that, and bring that presence to cultures like that, or groups, or communities, then, rather than just talking, they can feel the energy field, they can feel your presence. And then, as especially children, young children, as I've had a few children, I have a young one now, they just basically copycat. So if we had that, more people doing this kind of work, this kind of podcast, should I say, and getting, again, the field, getting your field relaxed, get a good team on your field, like soccer. I look back, it's like, wow, I had a real sloppy team. So it's like getting your field back, so it is on a, don't want to go higher, lower, but on a better vibration. And then, that was sort of getting, it's like, how do you get that across? There are tools, there are ways, but the classic is to embody yourself. I don't have a need, as well. So it's just like, and then, so for me, it's recognizing most cultures have lost their connection and they can't see the beauty right in front of them, really. So the beauty in themselves, people want to change their hair to another type of hair, so they just can't, due to the media, due to the Western phone, the TV, television, and blah blah blah. So so there's an art in doing that. So that, what more can I say other than that? But the connection, really.
Thank you for that. Yes, I agree. Most people cannot see the beauty that's in front of them, which was aptly demonstrated by the fact that Sabina's family home, with all those incredible fruit trees, the more she added another fruit tree and another fruit tree, the bigger my eyes got. I thought, what an incredible childhood. And then she said, the people who bought it cut them down. We don't see the beauty that's in front of us. Hi, Herb. Come on in here.
Hi. I just want to say how beautiful and wonderful it was to listen to everything that John had shared. It's I feel sorry for what you've had to go through in life, yet very grateful that you're here to share your experiences, to empower others and inspire. It's exactly what's needed in this world, others to be that shining light, being an example. And a lot of what you shared I resonate with as well. In my life, fitness was a gateway for me into my deprogramming as well. I went through like health crisis and got into fitness and become a super duper athlete, and then went through another period when that all come crashing down and realized that my fitness was an outlet, was also an escape as well. So that forced me to turn inwards, and that's when I discovered deepening my awareness when it comes to nutrition, food, fruit, living on fruit. And Arnold Ehret's mucusless diet system landed on my lap as well during that time, which is quite funny. You shared that too. But yes, meditation, what that brought me, that was the missing link for me, because I was tried everything. I did like diet, I did exercise, I did all kinds of things to change my life. But meditation was that missing piece of the puzzle. And that is deprogramming, because most of us were all programmed growing up. We're all conditioned by society, by parents, by teachers, by our governments, and it dictates our lives. Like most of us, not us, but most of society are sat in front of a TV and everything's been advertised. It's all about food, saving money. Like we live in a world driven by money, saving money, making profit. And we're conditioned like about the protein. We see protein, we think we need protein to survive. And we're seeing all these meal deal savers, and we just completely obscured from the truth, what really brings us health. It's quite tragic. It is very tragic, and it's wonderful that there's podcasts like these and others sharing the truth. But meditation, was I think is the key, because it deprogrammed me. It gave me that clarity, that peace for the first time in my life, seeing my identifications with things like, I'm a cyclist or I'm a fruitarian, and it allowed me to be at ease and be at peace. And others pick up on that as well, like Pete shared. People pick up on your energy field, and that can be attractive, and people are drawn to you, and you can share your stories and inspire and help others help themselves. And the key, what that allowed me to be, is to be myself, to be accepting of myself through meditation, being playful, and not be so rigid, fixated on things that we think we know.
What an incredible realization. Wow. And this brings me to Phil. Hello, Phil.
Hi. Yeah. Wow. Beliefs, conditioning. It's so big, such a big one. And so few people realize that we have been conditioned, we have been embedded with beliefs that aren't even ours. We have no idea where they come from. I still find beliefs now that come up and I'm like, but where's that come from? That isn't from my mum or my dad, or where did that imprint come from? And then how do I then undo that imprint? And some of those imprints are so deep, so deep in our psyche, especially when we have absolutely no idea where they've come from. And that's that subliminal programming from the telly and the newspapers and the banners and the borders and the one I love the best is on the side of our recycling lorry at home, and it says "Think inside the box." When I realised what they were telling us, it's just like, it's amazing. And you stay in your box, and that's the conditioning and the belief. So that's a great one that gets implanted in. So I was getting to that one where do they get implanted from? And that's a really great example, just on the side of our recycling lorry. Think inside the box.
Absolutely outrageous. When I hear think inside the box, that's all I can think is outrageous, outrageous, outrageous. I tried to get into the box when I was a teenager and I got very sick. But when I was outside of the box, I thrived. Which brings me to Sabina, because I see Sabina as exactly that, living outside the box and thriving.
Yes, so the programming, can you hear me okay? Somehow I got frozen.
Yes. If I don't tell you, it's fine. Just go on. Even if you're frozen, we can, as long as we can hear you, Sabina. Thank you.
Yes. So the programming is deep, very deep, and it comes from all directions. But it starts really in the place we grow up with. And that's also something I became aware when I was going back to Germany, how deep the programming was in the house that I grew up. Like every day I heard something, you can't do this, you can't do that, no, not you, you're not good enough, not smart enough, not beautiful enough, not enough of this, too much of that, you're too loud, you're too demanding. Like there was so many laws and rules. And I was never asked from my parents, what would you like? What does your heart desire? What are your dreams? That was never, ever even touched on. So the programming in my house for 19 years was so deep that I became really committed to be an out-of-the-box thinker. So thank you for mentioning this, Phil. So whenever I feel any program kicking in, I always say no, delete button once and for all, no more any program. And even releasing people out of my life, they're telling me what I should be, what would be appropriate for me. I even had a friend once telling me, Sabina, you have to lower your standards. And I was like, lower my standards? No. And I realized that's actually not a friend who tells me to lower my standards. So I continue to raise the bar and raise my standards. And I'm just so devoted to listen to my heart's desires every day. What does my heart want right now? And how can I use this to make a difference in this world and for others? So yes, I'm all about deprogramming.
Actually, I invite anyone who is on Instagram to look at Sabina's latest post there of this deprogrammed elf just cavorting in the woods. Oh, absolutely stunning in her bikini. It's just, was this in the winter? Because I know you do things like this in the winter in the snow. Was this in the winter, Sabina? Sabina, you need to unmute yourself, please.
So the one in the snow was just here before I left in November. We had a lot of snow early November. And the other one at the beach, that was in Florida when I was there in this fall.
I strongly suggest look at what living outside the box looks like and the freedom in her body. It's absolutely, to me, one of the most beautiful sights on Instagram. And I see, Lisa, you are nodding.
I was just thinking about what Sabina shared and about just what happens. And I think it happens with both genders, but from a female perspective, I feel like we are really taught to be in a box by our societies. And I know it's true for men because the men shared that they've had that same thing. And I think the programming has become very deep for both genders now. But I wanted to share like just a portion of what I wrote last night about kind of this programming topic. And I was really reflecting on social media and how that is the new weapon, essentially, the new war. If you're not intentional when you use it, you can use it, but know that you're being manipulated. And so I wrote, outrage is engineered. Rage keeps you warm while they strip the house. Who are we when our faces unlock cages we willingly step into? Who are we when touch is dangerous and silence feels illegal? Empty lives, full feeds, souls buffering. I don't protest, I disappear.
I bow to you. In fact, standing ovation from me. Absolutely. I am so in awe of this. Could you post this on social media, please? Thank you so much, Lisa. And I am going to actually use that to also just say thanks to everyone here and our special guest today. We have lost him because of the internet again. So I don't know what's going on in Canada right now, but what the internet is definitely not doing what's meant to be doing. But I want to thank John DePass, who was with us today, and for reminding us that when we live inside the box, we're not alive. There is nothing about us that is alive in that box. The box is meant to suffocate us. The box is meant to deprive us. And most of all, the box is meant to force us to forget the truth of our own brilliance, of our own mastery, and the fact that we live in a very loving and a very generous universe of which we are one of the tools of that universe. So our life is not clothed in generosity and is not clothed at all in living outside of the box, we end up being miserable and it ends up in our body. Whether for 3 days you cannot go to the toilet or whether you are stuck at home and you feel miserable. The only way to succeed in life is to be yourself. You don't have to do anything or be anything. Just be yourself. And you'll only find yourself outside of the box. So I invite you today, whatever box you might be just getting into right now, whatever box might be the most alluring to you, go right ahead and try it. But just remember there's a life outside of it as well. And don't accept that as the be-all and the end-all. Thanks, everyone, for being with us today. Thanks very much to my co-hosts. Please meet us back here again next week, same place, same time. Please share these videos. You do not know who you might help. You do not know who's about to give up. And when they hear these stories of this transformation, that it would really spark a fire within them to really find out who the truth is for themselves. Thank you, everyone. Go forth. Do not cut down any trees, especially not fruit trees, and enjoy every fruit. Bye, everyone. Thanks for being with us today. And